Ukrainian evacuees are trickling into Europe. Polish officials are reporting an uptick in foot traffic as refugees begin to form long lines at the border. Polish officials say they're preparing reception centers and hospitals as they expect a flood of people seeking sanctuary. Poland isn't the only country preparing for people escaping Ukraine.
Officials at the Pentagon estimate this invasion could result in up to 5 million refugees, making it one of the largest humanitarian crises since Syria in 2015. Joining us now for more on this is Jacob Kurtzher. He's the director and senior fellow with the Humanitarian Agenda at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Jacob, welcome. Thank you for being with us. How is Europe preparing for a potential mass exodus from Ukraine?
Thanks for having me. I think since the onset of the fears of the invasion that we saw happening last night, individual governments have been doing small measures of contingency planning to make sure that their ministries and reception centers were capable of handling an influx of people at a moment's notice. However, the neighboring countries, I think, which will be responding to the first wave of displacement, will rely on extensive political and economic support from Western Europe. And so what we know is that countries in Western Europe are preparing packages of support to provide financial support for those countries that are going to be the destinations of first resort. Last week, Ukraine activated the European Civil Defense Protection Mechanism, which is a formal request to the EU to provide the Ukrainian government with the necessary resources. But it's going to be a long and complicated process that's going to require a lot of money and a lot of political support and a lot of cooperation.
And Jacob, what are some of the concerns surrounding the impact Ukrainian refugee crisis might have on the European economy and politics?
Well, I think the economic impacts remain uncertain. Any displacement crisis of this magnitude, if we do in fact see a worst case scenario, creates a certain amount of economic upheaval. The reality is, though, that what we're seeing today comes on the heels of a lot of internal turmoil throughout the European Union, political unrest, in many cases fomented or instigated by actions overt and covert of the Russian government. And so I do think that's why it's so important now for there to be a sense of cohesion. And in some ways, I think this may be a unifying moment where the neighboring countries and those further afield recognize that there's a unique threat being imposed and a unique crisis being created solely by the actions of Vladimir Putin. And so the worst case scenario is that an influx of refugees and migrants inflames tensions. But so far, I think we have seen a strong sense of solidarity. And I think that's really an important element for us to support and to continue to encourage those neighboring countries to provide the resources for people as they come across the border, and for those other countries to provide that financial support that's going to be needed alongside international organizations like the UN High Commission for Refugees and potentially some others who may be called upon to provide either technical or administrative support to a large group of displaced Ukrainians.
And Jacob, President Biden has assured the world that U.S. troops will not move into the region and that America is not at war with Russia. But how will the U.S. assist with this humanitarian crisis as it unfolds?
Well, the United States is the largest donor to humanitarian assistance by virtue of its contributions to UN agencies, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and through USAID, through non-governmental partners, both US-based and international. And so I do think we'll see very shortly a substantial increase in the announcements of contributions that the United States will make to the NGOs and civil society organizations that really will be leading that response. I think it's also important that the United States increases its number of Ukrainians it allows into the United States if needed, and expedites the process to do so, to demonstrate through its action the kinds of steps that it would like neighboring countries to take by making the United States a country of refuge. We can lead by example. And then I think that the United States plays a very important leadership role. It's not just about funding and our action domestically, but I do think calling all European partners to the table to to organize the pledging and the organization of a humanitarian response, that's where the U.S. can really lead and can make sure that the individual impacts of this action. I mean, we talk about huge numbers of millions of people potentially, but we got to remember these are individuals and families. I think showing that leadership will be really important to making sure that we have a coherent, unified response and into the future, because this will not go away quickly.
Coherent and unified, two great words. Jacob Kurtzher, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you.